KITV4 News at 6 starts now.
Girls treated as sexual property, beaten and abused. Now they're pushing back. Good evening, I'm Timothy Archer. Sex trafficking has become a huge problem here in Hawaii. KITV's Lori Yamada has more on a highly critical report and the people trying to combat the problem.
I was locked in a house for like 2 weeks, beaten and raped multiple times throughout the day.
Dee Dee was only 16 when a family member recruited her. Then for 4 months, an abusive pimp prostituted her on the streets of Waikiki.
Out on the streets, it's very hard. It felt like forever.
They're broken in. Their families are threatened.
Victims advocate Catherine Jan has been fighting for tougher sex trafficking laws for years. She says a recent report giving Hawaii a failing grade is only fuel for her cause.
It's huge. They have no resources. They have no source of help. They are misidentified.
Every month, up to 600 children live homeless in Hawaii, and 300 kids are reported missing. Our state also has some of the highest rates of incarcerated girls, teen suicide, and incest in the country.
All of those factors contribute to an environment that's rife for child traffickers.
This next legislative session, Jan is focusing on tougher penalties for those soliciting minors for prostitution or paid sex, which right now is a petty misdemeanor.
It's the equivalent of staying over hours in a park.
I care about the girls that are out there because I know that it's not something anybody wants to go through.
Dee Dee says she's safe at home now and hoping for tougher laws too, knowing victims are still out there.
Now that we know what really goes on in prostitution, you know, the education and the awareness is changing.
I just want the girls to know, and everybody else out there to know that this needs to be stopped.
No cheering crowds for one Hawaii-based soldier who just returned from Afghanistan. Instead, police were waiting for him. 37-year-old Shane E. Sanders was picked up by the Hawaii Fugitive Task Force at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam. He's wanted in Georgia on child molestation warrant. The alleged attacks happened in 2005. Sanders is stationed at Wheeler and was arrested as soon as he got back from deployment. Police nabbed a robbery suspect who might have tried to knock off the same place twice. A security guard at Don Quixote in Waipahu says he recognized a man who walked out of the store without paying as the same man who did the same thing earlier this week. This time the guard confronted him, but says the man pointed a gun at him and sped off. Police caught the bad guy a few blocks away. Prosecutors will be seeking jail time and a lot of money for a man accused of running a Waimanalo puppy mill. David Lee Becker is scheduled to be sentenced next week. He's pleaded no contest to 153 counts of animal cruelty after the dogs were found in unsanitary conditions in March of last year. Prosecutors will ask that Becker serve consecutive one-year sentences on 5 of the counts. They will also ask that he pay a restitution of $370,000 to the Hawaiian Humane Society and a fine of $306,000. Plenty to rent, nothing for sale in the planned new Kaka'ako high-rise known as 690 Pohukaina. Today, the Hawaii Community Development Authority selected Forest City to develop the project. The HCDA envisions a 650-foot tower with 804 units that are for renters only. A hui of 5 lawmakers urged the agency to hold off on its selection so there could be more dialogue with the community. Forest City says that chance will come during the EIS phase of the project.
We do absolutely intend to go out and talk to people, make certain people understand what's going on, go through all of the appropriate processes, meet with the neighbors, do everything that you need to do to develop responsibly.
The 650-foot high-rise is not a given. Forest City also has a twin tower proposal. There's a residential reek that has some people in Kailua's Enchanted Lake calling for cleanup. They say the smell of rotten eggs is there 24/7. KITV's Nana Okana went for a whiff and talked to neighbors about the source of the stink.
We've all been sick. We've all had headaches and vomiting. Even my pets are sick. And, you know, to me, the smell has been a health hazard.
No breeze is flowing through the homes here. Doors and windows are locked up tight.
It's been like stagnant water, rotten egg smell.
It's all because of this.
It was like 2 feet thick of muck and rotting vegetation and rubbish and garbage. At least 1,000 coconuts, but nothing was moving. It was all stagnant, standing still.
This stream that flows into Enchanted Lake looks like this now. The city says crews were clearing out the stream to avoid a flood hazard. Residents say the city and county's effort to clear upstream here caused part of the Alahaki ditch to clog. Neighbors used to see 10 more hen birds a day. We spotted just 2 navigating their way through the sludge.
We haven't seen the animals, they're not around. We have turtles in the water that we care for, they're not around. We don't know what's happening there.
Today's the first day city crews are out here clearing debris like this. It's been 2 weeks of the horrible smell.
Well, we'd been calling them and calling them and calling them. And I think at one point someone even called the fire department.
Carrie Cross says she'll keep coming out, stink and all, just to check on the progress of the backed up stream.
So we've been getting headaches and it's hard to eat. I mean, you just don't ever get used to this smell.
Some changes are in the works for 2 recognizable Hawaii businesses. Our partners at Hawaii Business News tell us the landmark Indigo restaurant and bar is for sale. Owner and former executive chef Glenn Chu injured his back and wants to retire. Hawaii Theatre holds a lease on most of the property until 2019. And the company behind the commercial and tour boats like this one at Aloha Tower Marketplace wants to make a bigger splash. Navitec is getting into the sport boat business with a new vessel that's been in the works for years. The new Seablade is built to handle Hawaii's rough waters and promises to offer a major change in boat design. Catch other stories, including a wind energy company that wants to dip into the solar market in tomorrow's print copy. Pretty but potent. Ahead, they look like flowers but can kill cattle and horses. Now the state is releasing a tiny weapon to combat it. More local news coming up.